Australia First Party received today from our friends in Nationalist Alternative an item of correspondence. They suggested that there should be an all-nationalist conference to discuss the so-called Patriot movement. Now, what is this Patriot movement? The Patriot movement has arisen in recent times, based mainly around, but not exclusively around, the Reclaim Australia movement. It is a movement that's achieved a large amount of traction, a lot of publicity, and it's based itself essentially around the question of the incompatibility of Islam with Australian society. It's also true that there are several parties, groups, leagues and associations which are associated with this movement. There are, from our point of view, two fundamental problems with the Patriot movement in general. The first is that they basically seem to be saying that they believe in diversity minus Islam. We say that diversity minus Islam is still diversity. In other words, you have on the one hand a group of people who accept Australia's evolution as a multiracial, multicultural society and seek to eliminate Islam from it, and you have another group of people, namely the nationalists, who seek the dismantling of the entire society. The Patriot movement, of course, is at this point of time larger in numbers than the nationalists. But it's equally true that many people who are patriots are open to the arguments of the nationalists on the wider immigration question. There is another issue which has arisen inside this Patriot movement. Many of the patriots seem to think, to use the old phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If they're looking at Islam globally, they're starting to reason that the Zionist state of Israel is in some manner or other their friend. So propagandistically in Australia, they support all things Israeli. And they tend to become, if you want to call them this, press agents for Zionism. It is for no little reason that Nationalist Alternative in their article to us today called them Zio-Patriots. We too have called them that. Nationalist Alternative has suggested a nationalist conference of nationalist groups to set out the ways in which we can challenge these Zio-Patriots for the ground. It is inappropriate in the extreme that hundreds upon hundreds of people who are patriots, who are turning out in national flags and with Eureka flags to protest aspects of cultural Islam in Australia, are meant to be corralled and stopped from ever evolving into having a broader criticism of immigration and multiracialism in general. So they're saying that we have to challenge for the political ground. Yes, we do. We have to challenge them ideologically to point out why it is that diversity minus Islam is still diversity. It is still the problem. We also need to explain why the enemy of my enemy is not my friend, because in the context of Middle Eastern politics, the enemy of my enemy is usually still my enemy. We aim to take over the political territory that has been temporarily occupied by the leaderships of these patriot groups. We refuse to be excluded and marginalised from this movement. Nationalist Alternative has rightly suggested that we have to struggle to get our voice heard. Holding a conference of nationalist-minded organisations is one major step forward in seeing that done. I would like to add the voice of Australia First and call upon Australia First Party, Nationalist Alternative, One Nation Western Australia and the Australian Protectionist Party to hold such a conference. As is well known, Australia First Party has had friendly relations with Nationalist Alternative for a long time, and in fact we signed a declaration some years ago now called the Jerusalem Declaration, suggesting that Israel was no friend of Australia in any struggle against Islamic terrorism or Islamic intrusion into Australia's sovereignty. We also have a positive relationship with One Nation Western Australia. That too is well known, and an agreement between ourselves and One Nation Western Australia was published a year or so ago. The Australian Protectionist Party has a more interesting history. I shan't say too much other than to say that in recent times the Australian Protectionist Party has made it very clear through its leader that they do not believe in civic patriotism, which in reality is this concept of diversity minus Islam. We believe that these organisations should confer, that they should issue a joint declaration against Zio-patriotism, against civic patriotism. I also believe that we should cooperate in the short term in driving the civic patriots and the Zio-patriots from the ground. This ground belongs to Australian nationalists. It does not belong to fake patriots. Thank you.